My daughter-in-law treated me like a servant for 15 years, cleaning her house, raising her children, and sacrificing my entire post-military life, until the day I revealed the truth that would change everything forever. Katherine Rodriguez had never imagined her life would unfold like this. At 52, she was a decorated Army veteran who had once commanded respect on military bases across 3 continents. Now, she was reduced to a live-in housekeeper and unpaid nanny in her son Michael's suburban Atlanta home. The walls of her small bedroom, tucked away in the basement, were a testament to her diminished existence, bare except for a few faded photographs of her military service and a worn Army Commendation Medal hanging crookedly on a nail. Her daughter-in-law, Emma, was a marketing executive who treated Katherine with less dignity than she would treat a minimum-wage cleaning service. Each morning began the same way. Emma would leave a list of chores on the kitchen counter, her perfect manicured handwriting detailing everything from laundering Michael's work shirts to preparing elaborate packed lunches for her 2 children, Sophia and Ethan. "Mom, you know how busy I am," Michael would say whenever Katherine tried to discuss her increasingly thankless role. He had always been a mama's boy growing up, but marriage had transformed him into someone unrecognizable. The same son who had once looked at her with admiration now saw her as nothing more than a convenient solution to his family's domestic challenges. Katherine's military pension was modest, but she had never complained. After serving 2 tours in Afghanistan and earning multiple commendations for her leadership, she had expected a different kind of retirement. Instead, she found herself trapped in a cycle of domestic servitude, her military discipline turning into an asset for a family that took her for granted. The house was a meticulously maintained monument to Emma's professional success. Gleaming surfaces, color-coordinated throw pillows, and expensive artwork decorated every room. Katherine's hands, once steady while handling complex military equipment, now spent hours maintaining this pristine environment. Breakfast was a carefully choreographed routine. Michael's protein smoothie prepared exactly to Emma's specifications, the children's lunchboxes packed with Pinterest-worthy meals, and the kitchen left spotless before 7 a.m. Her granddaughter, Sophia, just 9 years old, had already internalized the family's dynamic. "Grandma, can you iron my dance costume?" Or, "Grandma, Mom says you'll help me with my science project," were constant refrains. Katherine loved the children deeply, but she was acutely aware that her role was more servant than grandmother. Emma's demands were relentless. Grocery shopping, meal preparation, childcare, house cleaning. Katherine's days blended into an endless loop of domestic tasks. When she suggested taking a community college class or joining a veterans support group, Emma would passive-aggressively comment about how the family needed her. "Who else would do all of this?" Emma would say, her voice dripping with false concern. "The kids need stability. Michael works such long hours. We're so lucky to have you here." Lucky. The word felt like a knife twist every time Katherine heard it. She had served her country, risked her life multiple times, led teams through impossible situations, and now she was lucky to be an unpaid domestic worker in her own son's home. Her military training had taught her discipline, resilience, and the importance of mission completion. Those same skills now worked against her, making her methodical and efficient in completing every task Emma assigned. She folded clothes with military precision, prepared meals with the same strategic planning she once used in tactical operations. The basement bedroom was her only sanctuary. A small dresser, a narrow bed, and those few military mementos were her entire world. At night, after everyone was asleep, Katherine would sometimes take out her old photographs, images of her younger self in uniform, standing tall, leading her unit with confidence. Those memories felt like they belonged to another lifetime. Michael rarely spoke to her beyond transactional conversations. "Mom, can you pick up Ethan from soccer?" Or, Did you remember to schedule the kids' dentist appointments? His tone was always a mixture of expectation and mild irritation, as if her existence was merely a functional convenience. Katherine had tried to maintain her dignity. She kept herself physically fit, continuing the exercise routines she had maintained during her military service. Early mornings would find her doing push-ups and running in place, her body a testament to her years of military training. But her spirit was slowly being eroded, one mundane task at a time. The irony was not lost on her. A woman who had once navigated complex international missions, who had led diverse teams through high-stress environments, was now reduced to managing suburban domestic logistics. Her strategic mind, once used to solve complex military challenges, was now employed in optimizing laundry schedules and meal planning. She knew something would have to change. But at 52, with years of silent compliance, she wasn't sure how to break free from the invisible chains that bound her to this life of servitude. Little did Emma know, Katherine was about to rewrite the entire script of their family's dynamics. And it would start with a will, a document that would shock everyone into recognizing her true worth. The diagnosis came like a sudden artillery strike, unexpected and devastating. Katherine sat in the sterile medical office, her military straight, posture momentarily crumbling as Dr. Harrison explained the initial findings of her comprehensive health screening. Early-stage rheumatoid arthritis, he said, his voice clinical and detached. The inflammation markers are significant. We'll need to run more tests, but the initial progression suggests an aggressive form of the disease. The words hung in the air, heavy with implications. For a woman who had built her entire identity on physical strength and military discipline, the diagnosis felt like a personal betrayal. Her hands, the same hands that had once field-stripped rifles with precision, managed complex military operations, and now meticulously managed her son's household, were beginning to betray her. Emma's reaction was instantaneous and calculated. When Katherine returned home and shared the medical news, her daughter-in-law's eyes gleamed with a calculation that went beyond mere concern. "We should discuss how this will impact the family," Emma said, her marketing executive brain already running scenarios. Michael was predictably non-committal. "We'll figure something out, Mom," he mumbled, not looking up from his laptop. The something was clear. Katherine would continue her current role, just with increasing physical difficulty. The true impact of the diagnosis became apparent in the weeks that followed. Tasks that were once simple became increasingly challenging. Folding laundry sent sharp pain through her joints. Preparing elaborate meals for the family required multiple breaks. Her once immaculate housekeeping began to slip, creating tension that was palpable in every interaction. Emma's passive-aggressive comments became more pointed. "Mom, are you sure you can handle everything?" she would ask, her tone suggesting Katherine was becoming a burden. The children noticed the change too. Sophia stopped asking for elaborate costume alterations. Ethan became quieter, sensing the underlying stress. Katherine's military training had always been about adaptation and resilience. She began researching her condition, understanding the potential treatments, and exploring ways to maintain her functionality. But each day brought new challenges. Opening jars became a struggle. The morning exercise routine she had maintained for decades now felt like a distant memory. The family dynamic shifted subtly but definitively. Where Katherine had once been the reliable cornerstone, she was now viewed as a potential problem to be managed. Emma's efficiency turned clinical. Conversations about Katherine's future became more frequent, often happening as if she weren't in the room. One particularly difficult morning crystallized the entire situation. Katherine was struggling to prepare breakfast, her hands trembling as she attempted to crack eggs. Emma walked in, looked at the scene, and without a word, pulled out her phone. "I'm calling a home health aide," she announced. "We can't have this." Continuing. Catherine's military training kicked in. "I'm not incapable," she responded, her voice sharp with military precision. "I'm managing." But they both knew it was a lie. The financial discussions began shortly after. Emma and Michael started having hushed conversations about long-term care options and potential assisted living facilities. Katherine overheard fragments, discussions that treated her more like a logistical problem than a human being. "We can't afford a full-time caregiver," Michael would say. "We can if we redirect her pension and sell some of her assets," Emma would counter. The betrayal cut deeper than any physical pain. Here was her son, the child she had raised, the man she had supported through every challenge, discussing her future as if she were a piece of furniture to be disposed of when no longer useful. Her military support network became her lifeline. A fellow veteran, Sarah Martinez, became her confidant. They would meet at a local coffee shop, Sarah listening intently as Katherine shared her struggles. "They're looking at me like I'm a problem to be solved," Katherine would say, her voice breaking slightly. Sarah, who had her own challenges with family dynamics after her military service, understood completely. "You're more than their solution or their problem," she would remind Katherine. "You're a decorated veteran. You're a survivor." The medical treatments began. Specialized medications, physical therapy, alternative treatments. Katherine approached her health challenge with the same strategic approach she had used in her military career. But the family's perception continued to deteriorate. Emma began researching assisted living facilities more aggressively. Brochures started appearing on the kitchen counter. Casual mentions of transition plans became more frequent. Katherine could read between the lines. They were planning to phase her out of their lives. The final trigger came during a family dinner. Michael, distracted by work emails, barely looked up. Emma was meticulously cutting Ethan's food. The children ate, silently. And Katherine sat there watching her entire life, her service, her sacrifices, her love, being reduced to a footnote in their busy suburban existence. Something inside her began to shift. The same strategic mind that had navigated complex military missions started to formulate a plan. If they thought she was finished, they were about to learn otherwise. Her arthritis might be changing her body, but it would not define her spirit. And her family was about to learn the most important lesson of all. A veteran's worth is never determined by their ability to serve others, but by their ability to serve themselves. The true depth of family betrayal revealed itself during Katherine's most vulnerable moment. Her arthritis had progressed rapidly, transforming her once strong body into a landscape of constant pain and limited mobility. The medical bills began to pile up, and her family's true colors emerged with brutal clarity. One crisp Saturday morning, Katherine overheard a conversation that would forever change her perception of family. Michael and Emma were in the kitchen, speaking in hushed tones, believing Katherine was resting in her basement bedroom. "We can't keep supporting her medical treatments," Michael said, his voice a mixture of frustration and calculation. "Her VA benefits and pension are barely covering anything." Emma's response was even more chilling. "I've been looking into long-term care facilities. There's a state-funded option that would take most of her assets. We could use her room for a home office and maybe even rent out her portion of the property." Katherine's military training had always prepared her for unexpected attacks, but this was an ambush she never anticipated. Her own son was discussing her like a financial liability, a problem to be managed and disposed of. The medical treatments became a battleground. Each doctor's visit was a potential minefield. Emma would accompany her, not out of care, but as a strategic overseer of expenses. She'd interrupt Katherine's conversations with doctors, asking about the most cost-effective treatments, questioning every recommendation. "Do we really need that medication?" Emma would ask, her marketing executive brain calculating every potential expense. "Isn't there a generic version?" Katherine's world began to shrink. The vibrant veteran who had once commanded respect in military bases now found herself confined to a small basement bedroom, her movements increasingly limited by her condition. The children, Sophia and Ethan, became distant. Their interactions reduced to perfunctory hello and goodbye moments. The military community she had once been so proud of seemed to fade away. Her veteran support group became her lifeline, but even that connection was controlled by Emma. Phone calls were monitored, visits carefully managed. Katherine felt like a prisoner in her own family's home. Sarah Martinez, her veteran friend, became her primary source of emotional support. They would meet secretly, Sarah bringing home-cooked meals and updates about their military community. "They're trying to isolate you," Sarah would say, her own eyes blazing with protective anger. The financial manipulation became increasingly obvious. Emma began managing Katherine's finances, slowly redirecting her pension and VA benefits. Bank statements would arrive with suspicious transfers, medical expenses that seemed inflated, and mysterious charges. Michael's attitude was perhaps the most painful betrayal. The son she had raised, supported through every challenge, now looked at her as nothing more than a financial burden. Family dinners became a performance of distant politeness. Conversations were strictly transactional, discussions about medical appointments, household chores, nothing more. Katherine discovered Emma had been secretly consulting with elder care attorneys, exploring ways to gain more control over her assets. Conversations about power of attorney became more frequent. Michael would casually bring up the need to simplify things during dinner, his eyes avoiding direct contact. The basement bedroom became a metaphorical and literal prison. Her military medals, once proudly displayed, now seemed like relics of a life that no longer existed. The walls closed in, a constant reminder of her diminishing autonomy. Her physical condition became Emma's weapon. Every doctor's visit, every moment of pain was weaponized. "See how much you're costing us?" Emma's eyes would say, even when her words remained sugary sweet. The children began to internalize this dynamic. Sophia, once close to her grandmother, now viewed her with a mixture of pity and inconvenience. Ethan barely acknowledged her existence. Family gatherings became performances of forced politeness, with Katherine reduced to a silent spectator. In her own family's life, holiday gatherings were the most painful. Katherine would watch as her family celebrated, her place increasingly marginalized. A chair would be grudgingly pulled out for her, her dietary needs an inconvenience, her stories ignored. "Mom, maybe you should rest," Michael would say, his voice suggesting she was more of an interruption than a valued family member. The VA support system, which she had relied on throughout her military career, seemed distant. Emma carefully managed her communications, screening calls, controlling information. Katherine felt like a prisoner, her entire identity slowly being erased. Her military training had prepared her for many challenges, but this was a battlefield she had never anticipated. The enemy was not an external threat, but the very family she had sacrificed everything to support. Sarah Martinez became her strategic ally. They would meet in secret, discussing potential ways to reclaim her independence. "They think they've broken you," Sarah would say, her own veteran spirit burning bright. "But they have no idea what you're capable of." Katherine began to document everything: medical records, financial statements, conversations. She created a meticulous file, her military precision turning into a weapon of potential liberation. Every piece of paper became evidence, every conversation a potential strategic move. The arthritis might be changing her body, but it would not define her spirit. Something was brewing beneath the surface, a resistance that would shake her family to its core. The veteran who had once commanded respect on international battlefields was about to launch her most important mission yet, reclaiming her life. The rock bottom came on a rainy Tuesday in October. Katherine had reached a point of complete physical and emotional depletion. Her arthritis had progressed to a stage where even the simplest movements became excruciating. The basement bedroom, once her sanctuary, now felt like a prison cell. That morning, Emma had scheduled a series of medical evaluations, not for Catherine's benefit, but as part of her calculated plan to prove Catherine's increasing dependency. The medical assessments were a calculated assault, designed to strip away Catherine's remaining dignity and independence. The first appointment was with a neurologist specializing in chronic pain management. Emma accompanied her, interrupting every conversation, steering the discussion towards Catherine's limitations. "She can barely manage basic household tasks," Emma told the doctor, her voice a mixture of feigned concern and calculated manipulation. Catherine sat silently, her military training preventing her from showing the depth of her humiliation. The doctor, a young man who seemed more interested in his computer screen than in his patient, nodded mechanically. Medical jargon flew around her. Terms like progressive disability and limited functionality became a verbal assault on her. Identity. The next appointment was with a geriatric care specialist. Emma had meticulously prepared a narrative of Catherine's supposed decline. Medical forms were filled out with a focus on her limitations, not her potential. Each question became a weapon, each answer a nail in the coffin of her independence. Michael arrived to drive them home, his interaction with Catherine reduced to minimal transactional exchanges. "Did the doctors say anything important?" he asked, not really listening to the response. The car ride was a symphony of silent contempt. That evening, the family gathered for dinner, a performance of familial obligation. Sophia and Ethan ate quietly, occasionally glancing at Catherine with a mixture of pity and discomfort. Emma orchestrated the entire scene, her perfectly prepared meal a stark contrast to Catherine's diminishing role. The breaking point came unexpectedly. As Catherine attempted to help clear the table, her arthritis-stricken hands betrayed her. A plate slipped, shattering on the kitchen floor. The room went silent. Emma's reaction was swift and cruel. "Mom, you're becoming a liability," she said, her marketing executive efficiency cutting deeper than any physical pain. "We need to seriously discuss your future living arrangements." Michael nodded, not even looking up from his phone. "We've been talking about some assisted living facilities," he said casually, as if discussing a routine household repair. The children watched silently, their young faces already molded by Emma's calculated narrative. Catherine realized she had become nothing more than a problem to be solved, a burden to be managed. That night, confined to her basement bedroom, Catherine confronted the full extent of her loss. Her military medals, once a source of pride, now seemed like relics of a life that no longer existed. The walls closed in, a physical manifestation of her shrinking world. Her military pension, her years of service, her sacrifices, everything, had been reduced to a series of medical assessments and financial calculations. The woman who had once commanded respect, who had served her country with distinction, was now treated as less than human. Sarah Martinez became her lifeline during this period. Their secret meetings became Catherine's primary source of hope. "They're trying to erase you," Sarah would say, her own veteran spirit burning bright with anger. "But they have no idea what you're capable of." The medical treatments became a battleground. Each doctor's visit was carefully managed by Emma, who treated Catherine's health like a corporate project to be optimized and minimized. Conversations about treatment became discussions about cost-effectiveness, about managing expenses rather than improving quality of life. Catherine's world had become a claustrophobic ecosystem of controlled interactions. Phone calls were monitored, visitors carefully screened. Her connection to the outside world was increasingly limited, managed by Emma's calculating efficiency. The VA support system, which she had relied on throughout her military career, seemed distant and unreachable. Emma carefully managed her communications, creating a wall of isolation that grew more impenetrable with each passing week. Her medical records became a weapon used against her. Each new diagnosis, each limitation was meticulously documented, not to help her improve, but to prove her increasing dependency. The medical language became a form of psychological warfare, reducing her to a collection of symptoms and limitations. The basement bedroom became a metaphorical and literal representation of her diminishing existence. The military medals that once represented her proudest moments now seemed like artifacts from a life that no longer existed. The walls seemed to close in, a constant reminder of her shrinking autonomy. Katherine began to document everything: medical records, financial statements, conversations. Her military precision transformed into a survival strategy. Every piece of paper became potential evidence, every interaction a potential strategic move. As she lay in her bed that night, the rain beating against the small basement window, Katherine made a decision. This would not be her final chapter. The veteran who had faced impossible challenges, who had served her country with distinction, was not going to be erased by her own family's calculated indifference. Something was brewing beneath the surface, a resistance that would shake her family to its core. The woman they thought they had broken was about to launch her most important mission yet, reclaiming her life, her dignity, and her future. The first spark of resistance came from an unexpected source: a smartphone and a veterans support group. Chat. Sarah Martinez had gifted Katherine a new smartphone during one of their clandestine meetings, insisting she needed a direct line to the outside world. "Technology is your new weapon," Sarah had said, her eyes glinting with the same strategic brilliance that had made her an exceptional military strategist. Katherine had initially been skeptical. Her arthritis made typing challenging, and years of family control had made her hesitant to reach out independently. But desperation breeds innovation. She began using voice-to-text features, her military precision guiding her through the technological learning curve. The Veterans Online Support Group became her lifeline, a private Facebook group for veterans dealing with chronic conditions and family challenges, became her first real connection to the outside world. Here, she found a community that understood her struggle, veterans who had fought battles far more complex than those on traditional battlefields. Her first post was tentative. "Veteran 52, dealing with rheumatoid arthritis and family challenges," she wrote, her fingers trembling slightly as she hit send. The responses came quickly, a flood of support, advice, and shared experiences that made her realize she was not alone. Rose Hernandez, a veteran who had gone through similar family challenges, became her primary mentor. "Document everything," Rose advised in a private message. "Your family is treating you like a liability. Prove your value." Katherine began to collect evidence methodically. She started recording conversations, subtle, almost imperceptible recordings using her new smartphone. Emma's manipulative conversations, Michael's dismissive comments, the way the children had been conditioned to view her as a burden. The veterans group provided more than emotional support. They connected her with legal resources, disability advocates, and financial advisors who specialized in supporting veterans. Katherine learned about her rights, about the support systems she had been systematically cut off from. Her first act of rebellion was small but significant. When Emma tried to intercept her mail, Katherine set up a separate P.O. box with the help of her veteran support network. Her medical records, financial documents, and personal correspondence now had a safe haven. The arthritis support group became another unexpected source of strength. Here, Katherine learned about adaptive technologies, alternative treatments, and most importantly, how to reclaim her independence. She discovered voice-activated devices, specialized computer interfaces, and medical technologies that could help her overcome her physical limitations. Sarah Martinez continued to be her strategic ally. They would meet in carefully planned locations: coffee shops, public libraries, veterans centers, always out of Emma's potential surveillance range. Sarah brought her resources, contacts, and most importantly, unwavering support. Katherine began taking online courses through the VA's educational support program. Despite her physical challenges, she enrolled in a digital marketing course, the same field Emma dominated. It was a subtle form of resistance, a way to prove her intellectual capability. Her documentation became increasingly sophisticated. She created a digital archive of her experiences, complete with dated recordings, medical records, and financial statements. Each piece of evidence was carefully cataloged, her military training transforming into a weapon of potential liberation. The Veterans Support Group connected her with a pro bono legal advisor specializing in elder care and veterans' rights. Mark Thompson, a retired JAG officer, began reviewing her case. "Your family is walking a fine line," he told her during a secure video call. "We're building a case." Katherine's resistance wasn't just about fighting back. It was about reclaiming her identity. She started sharing her story anonymously in veterans forums, connecting with other veterans who had experienced similar family betrayals. Her posts became a beacon of hope for others feeling trapped and marginalized. The technology she once feared became her primary tool of empowerment. She learned to use digital platforms to expand her world. Online support groups, educational resources, legal consultations, all became accessible through her smartphone and laptop. Emma remained oblivious to the quiet revolution brewing beneath the surface. She continued to manage Katherine's life with the same calculated efficiency, unaware that each interaction was being meticulously documented, each conversation potentially becoming evidence. Michael's periodic check-ins became opportunities for Katherine to gather more information. She would engage him in conversations, carefully extracting details about the family's financial plans, their discussions about her future. Every word was recorded, every interaction analyzed. The children, Sophia and Ethan, began to see subtle changes. Their grandmother, once a passive figure in the background, started to emerge with a newfound confidence. Small comments, subtle interactions revealed a woman who was no longer willing to be silenced. Katherine's medical treatments became a collaborative effort with her veteran support network. Alternative therapies, specialized treatment plans, holistic approaches. She was no longer a passive patient, but an active participant in her own healthcare journey. The basement bedroom, once a symbol of her imprisonment, was transformed. A workspace emerged, complete with adaptive technologies, medical resources, and a growing collection of strategic documents. The walls that had once felt like a prison now represented her emerging freedom. Her first spark of resistance was small but powerful. She was no longer waiting to be rescued. The veteran who had once commanded respect on international battlefields was now commanding respect in her own life, one carefully documented moment at a time. The personal awakening struck Katherine like a strategic mission plan coming into perfect focus. She realized her life was not a series of limitations, but an opportunity for total reinvention. Her basement bedroom transformed into a command center of personal liberation. Adaptive technologies lined the walls, voice-activated. Computers, specialized ergonomic tools designed to work with her arthritis-challenged hands. Each device represented more than a technological aid. They were weapons in her battle for independence. The VA rehabilitation program became her unexpected ally. Through specialized workshops, Katherine discovered adaptive technologies that transformed her physical limitations into strategic advantages. She learned digital skills that rivaled Emma's marketing expertise, attended virtual workshops on financial independence, and connected with veterans who had rebuilt their lives after seemingly insurmountable challenges. Mark Thompson, the veteran, legal advisor, helped her understand the full extent of her rights. "Your family doesn't own you," he explained during a secure video consultation. "You're a decorated veteran with multiple benefits and legal protections they've been systematically ignoring." Katherine began to redefine her entire concept of value. Her military pension, her VA benefits, her years of service, these were not negotiable assets to be managed by her family, but powerful tools of personal empowerment. She started exploring independent living options, researching veteran support, programs that could provide comprehensive care and support. The online veteran support group became her strategic planning room. Women like Rose Hernandez shared detailed strategies for reclaiming personal autonomy. They discussed everything from legal protections for veterans to adaptive technologies, from financial independence to rebuilding personal relationships on one's own terms. Her physical therapy took on a new dimension. Instead of viewing her arthritis as a limitation, Katherine began to see it as a challenge to be strategically managed. She worked with specialized therapists who understood veterans' unique rehabilitation needs. Each exercise became a small victory, each improvement a strategic advance in her personal mission. Financial independence became her primary objective. Katherine started exploring multiple income streams: freelance consulting based on her military logistics experience, online teaching opportunities for veterans, digital content creation sharing her rehabilitation journey. Her marketing course provided unexpected skills, allowing her to package her experiences into compelling narratives. Sarah Martinez continued to be her primary strategic ally. They would meet regularly, developing what they jokingly called Operation Personal Liberation. Sarah, who had her own experiences with family challenges after military service, provided both emotional support and practical guidance. Katherine began to rebuild her relationship with herself. She started a digital journal documenting her journey of transformation. Each entry was a declaration of independence, a strategic assessment of her progress, a testament to her unbroken spirit. Her medical treatments became a collaborative effort. Instead of passive patient experiences, she became an active participant. She researched alternative treatments, connected with medical specialists who understood veterans' unique health challenges, and developed a comprehensive approach to managing her arthritis. The children, Sophia and Ethan, began to notice subtle changes. Their grandmother was no longer the silent figure in the background. She became more engaged during family interactions, asking pointed questions, sharing stories from her military service that revealed her depth and complexity. Emma's carefully constructed narrative began to crack. The woman she had viewed as a passive, dependent family member was emerging as a strategic, independent individual. Katherine's newfound confidence was subtle but unmistakable. Digital education became her new battlefield. She enrolled in multiple online courses, not just for skills, but as a statement of her intellectual capability. Courses in digital marketing, veteran support services, and healthcare advocacy filled her schedule. Each certification was a badge of honor, each completed course a strategic advance. Her financial strategy became increasingly sophisticated. With Mark Thompson's guidance, she began exploring investment opportunities specifically designed for veterans. Disability benefits, educational grants, small business support programs. Katherine became an expert in navigating these complex systems. The basement bedroom was no longer a prison, but a launch pad. Walls covered with strategic plans, technology that amplified her capabilities, documentation of her journey. It became a symbol of her transformation. Each adaptive device, each piece of technology represented a small victory against the limitations imposed by her family and her medical condition. Katherine's definition of family began to expand. The Veterans Support Network became her true family, a community of individuals who understood resilience, who celebrated independence, who refused to be defined by limitations. Regular video calls, online meetups, collaborative projects became her new social framework. Her relationship with Michael and Emma underwent a fundamental transformation. She was no longer asking for permission or seeking approval. Each interaction became a carefully considered strategic encounter. She set clear boundaries, communicated with unprecedented clarity, and refused to be manipulated. The spark of resistance had evolved into a controlled, strategic fire of personal liberation. Katherine was no longer waiting to be rescued or managed. She was architecting her own future, writing her own narrative, reclaiming the strategic brilliance that had defined her military career. As she looked at her reflection, the woman with arthritis-challenged hands, with a spirit unbroken by family manipulation, with a future she was actively designing, Katherine understood her most important mission was not one she had been assigned, but one she had chosen for herself. Her personal awakening was complete. The veteran who had been reduced to a footnote in her family's story was about to become the author of her own extraordinary chapter. The strategic rebuilding of Katherine's life was a meticulously planned operation, executed with the same precision she had once applied to military missions. Her first major strategic move was establishing complete financial independence. With Mark Thompson's guidance, Katherine conducted a comprehensive audit of her assets. She discovered multiple streams of income she had never fully explored: veteran disability benefits, educational grants, and consulting opportunities based on her extensive military logistics experience. The apartment search became a carefully orchestrated mission. Katherine found a compact, adaptive-friendly living space in a veterans community complex just outside Atlanta. The location offered multiple advantages: proximity to specialized medical care, a supportive veteran community, and most importantly, complete independence from her family's control. Digital entrepreneurship became her new primary occupation. Drawing from her digital marketing course and military background, Katherine launched a consulting platform specifically designed to help disabled veterans navigate professional opportunities. Her website, Veteran Velocity, quickly gained traction in online veteran support networks. Her medical rehabilitation took on a holistic approach. Instead of viewing her arthritis as a limitation, Katherine developed a comprehensive strategy: specialized physical therapy, alternative treatments, adaptive technologies. She approached her health like a strategic military campaign. Each improvement was a tactical victory. The Veteran Support Network became her primary resource hub. Rose Hernandez helped her connect with specialized legal resources, while Sarah Martinez provided strategic guidance on personal reinvention. They developed what they called her Liberation Blueprint, a comprehensive plan for personal and professional reconstruction. Financial reconstruction was particularly intricate. Katherine discovered multiple veteran support programs she had been unaware of: small business grants, disability support resources, educational funding. She became an expert in navigating these complex systems. Her military discipline transformed complex bureaucratic processes into manageable strategic objectives. Her relationship with technology evolved dramatically. What had once been a challenge became her primary tool of empowerment. She mastered adaptive technologies, developed a robust online presence, and began creating digital content that highlighted veterans' challenges and opportunities. The legal strategy developed with Mark Thompson was particularly sophisticated. They documented every instance of financial manipulation by Emma and Michael, building a comprehensive case that protected Katherine's rights and assets. Each piece of evidence was carefully cataloged, each interaction strategically analyzed. Her online presence became a powerful platform. Katherine began sharing her story through carefully crafted digital content: blog posts, video tutorials, online workshops. She transformed her personal challenge into a broader narrative about veteran empowerment, independence, and resilience. The medical rehabilitation took unexpected turns. Instead of viewing her arthritis as a limitation, Katherine developed a comprehensive approach: specialized physical therapy, alternative treatments, digital health tracking. She approached her health like a strategic military operation. Each small improvement was celebrated as a tactical victory. Her educational pursuits became a critical component of her rebuilding strategy. Online certifications in digital marketing, veteran support services, and healthcare advocacy filled her schedule. Each completed course was a strategic advancement in her personal and professional reconstruction. The Veterans Community Complex became more than just a living space. It was a strategic base of operations. Katherine connected with other veterans facing similar challenges, creating a supportive network that extended far beyond traditional support systems. Group workshops, collaborative projects, mutual support initiatives became her new social framework. Financial independence was achieved through multiple innovative strategies. Beyond her consulting platform, Katherine developed digital products, online courses, e-books, consulting services, all designed to support veterans navigating personal and professional challenges. Her military logistics experience transformed into a powerful entrepreneurial asset. Her relationship with Michael and Emma underwent a fundamental transformation. Communication became strategic and limited. She set clear, non-negotiable boundaries, refusing to be drawn into manipulative family dynamics. Each interaction was a carefully considered encounter, designed to maintain her independence. The adaptive technologies in her new living space were carefully selected. Voice-activated systems, ergonomic workstations, specialized medical tracking tools. Each piece of technology was chosen to maximize her independence and minimize her physical limitations. Her living space became a testament to strategic adaptation. Katherine's medical team became true collaborators in her rehabilitation. Instead of passive treatments, she developed comprehensive, holistic approaches to managing her arthritis. Integrated care plans, alternative therapies, digital health tracking. She approached her health as a complex, multidimensional challenge. Her daughter-in-law Emma's attempts at control became increasingly ineffective. Katherine's newfound independence, financial stability, and strategic communication made manipulation impossible. Each attempted intervention was met with calm, strategic resistance. The Veterans Support Network became her primary social and professional ecosystem. Collaborative projects, mutual support initiatives, professional networking. Katherine transformed her personal challenge into a broader movement of veteran empowerment. Her digital platform, Veteran Velocity, became more than a business, it was a movement. Katherine shared not just her story, but comprehensive resources for veterans navigating personal and professional challenges. Online workshops, digital courses, consulting services. She created a comprehensive support ecosystem. As she looked at her newly constructed life, financially independent, professionally fulfilled, medically supported, Katherine understood that her greatest mission was not one assigned by others, but one she had strategically designed for herself. The strategic rebuilding was complete. The veteran who had been reduced to a marginal figure in her family's narrative had become the architect of her own extraordinary future. The confrontation came during a family gathering that was meant to be carefully orchestrated by Emma. But Katherine had other plans. Michael had arranged a Sunday lunch, ostensibly to discuss family matters. The invitation arrived with Emma's typical passive-aggressive precision, a calculated attempt to reassert control over Katherine's life. Little did they know, Katherine had transformed from the passive figure they once manipulated. She arrived at the suburban Atlanta home wearing a tailored blazer, her adaptive technologies discreetly incorporated into her outfit. A specialized smartwatch tracked her health metrics, while her smartphone, loaded with documented evidence, sat strategically in her purse. The dining room felt like a battlefield of unspoken tensions. Emma had meticulously arranged everything: crystal, centerpieces, perfectly pressed linens, a meal that screamed performative perfection. Sophia and Ethan sat quietly, sensing the electrical charge of potential conflict. Katherine broke the carefully constructed silence first. "I've made some changes in my life," she announced, her voice clear and steady. No longer the trembling, dependent figure they remembered, she spoke with the commanding tone of a military leader. Emma's smile froze. Michael shifted uncomfortably. The children exchanged nervous glances. "I've developed a successful consulting platform for veterans," Katherine continued. "Veteran Velocity has been recognized by several veteran support organizations. I'm generating more income now than I ever did working for free in this house." The revelation landed like a strategic missile. Emma's perfectly manicured fingers gripped her water glass a fraction too tightly. Michael's attempt to interject was met with a look that silenced him instantly. Katherine produced a folder, meticulously organized, each document carefully preserved. "I've documented every instance of financial manipulation," she said. "The attempts to control my VA benefits, the unauthorized medical decisions, the systematic isolation." Mark Thompson, her legal advisor, had prepared her for this moment. Each piece of evidence was a calculated weapon, designed to dismantle their narrative of control. The children watched in stunned silence. Sophia, now a teenager, saw her grandmother in a completely different light. Ethan's adolescent bravado seemed to shrink in the face of Catherine's newfound strength. Emma attempted her usual manipulation tactics. "Mom, we were just trying to help you," she began, her marketing executive voice shifting into a practiced tone of concern. Katherine cut her off. "Help requires consent. What you did was control. There's a significant difference." Michael tried to redirect the conversation, falling back on familiar patterns. "We should discuss your living arrangements," he began, his tone patronizing. "There's nothing to discuss," Katherine responded. "I've already arranged everything. I'm living independently, fully supported by veteran resources, with a thriving business." The folder of evidence told a story far different from the narrative Emma and Michael had constructed. Detailed financial records, medical documentation, legal correspondence. Each document was a nail in the coffin of their manipulation. Sarah Martinez and Rose Hernandez had prepared her for this moment. They had coached her on maintaining emotional control, on presenting facts without descending into emotional chaos. Katherine embodied that preparation perfectly. The confrontation was not about revenge. It was about reclaiming her narrative, about proving that she was far more than the convenient narrative they had constructed. Sophia's perspective shifted visibly. The granddaughter, who had once viewed Katherine as a background figure, now saw a woman of remarkable resilience. Ethan, too, seemed to look at his grandmother with newfound respect. Emma's carefully constructed facade began to crumble. Her attempts to portray Katherine as a dependent burden were systematically dismantled by Katherine's own success. The consulting platform, the veteran support network, the comprehensive medical management, each element was a direct challenge to Emma's narrative. Michael's attempts to mediate became increasingly ineffective. Katherine had transformed from a passive recipient of family decisions to an active, independent decision-maker. The legal documentation was particularly devastating. Mark Thompson had helped Katherine explore every potential avenue of protection. Power of attorney was rescinded, financial controls were dismantled, and her independence was legally secured. Emma's final attempt at manipulation came as a desperate whisper. "But who will take care of you?" Katherine's response was calm, devastating. In its simplicity, "I will." The lunch became a turning point. Not a moment of familial reconciliation, but a clear declaration of independence. Katherine was no longer asking for permission or seeking approval. She was stating her reality. As she prepared to leave, Katherine placed a business card for Veteran Velocity on the table. A subtle reminder of her transformation from a marginalized family member to a successful entrepreneur. The children watched her leave, seeing not the grandmother they had been conditioned to view as a burden, but a woman of remarkable strength and resilience. Outside, the Atlanta sun seemed to shine a little brighter. Katherine had just completed. Her most important mission: reclaiming her life on her own terms. The Veterans Community Center buzzed with an energy that defied expectations. What had once been a quiet meeting space had transformed into a vibrant hub of collective empowerment, and Katherine Rodriguez stood at its epicenter. Veteran Velocity, Reclaiming Our Stories, became more than just a program, it was a movement. Katherine had taken her personal journey of transformation and converted it into a comprehensive support network that spread across multiple states, connecting veterans facing similar challenges of family abandonment, medical difficulties, and personal reinvention. The program attracted veterans from every imaginable background. Military personnel who had been marginalized by families, veterans struggling with chronic conditions, individuals who had been told they were no longer valuable. They found a home in Katherine's network. Each Wednesday, the community center transformed into a strategic planning room for personal liberation. Rose Hernandez, Katherine's longtime ally, had become the program's co-director. Together, they developed workshops that went far beyond traditional veteran support. Legal workshops taught veterans how to protect their rights. Financial seminars helped them navigate complex benefit systems, and mental health sessions addressed the unique challenges of post-military life. The technological component became particularly revolutionary. Katherine leveraged her digital skills to create an online platform that connected veterans nationwide. Adaptive technology workshops showed veterans how to turn physical limitations into strategic advantages. Participants learned everything, from voice-activated computer systems to specialized job training programs. Sarah Martinez developed a mentorship program that paired experienced veterans with those just beginning their journey of personal reconstruction. Each mentor became a strategic ally, helping participants navigate complex personal and professional challenges. The stories that emerged were transformative. Maria Rodriguez, a veteran who had been living in her daughter's garage, started a small catering business. James Thompson, struggling with PTSD and family isolation, became a digital content creator specializing in veteran support resources. Each success story became a beacon of hope for others. Katherine's approach was holistic and strategic. The program wasn't just about survival, it was about thriving. Workshops covered everything from financial independence to personal reinvention. Veterans learned to see their challenges as opportunities for strategic transformation. The medical support component became particularly innovative. Partnerships with specialized medical providers created comprehensive care networks. Veterans received not just medical treatment, but holistic support that addressed physical, mental, and professional challenges. Legal workshops became a cornerstone of the program. Specialists like Mark Thompson provided comprehensive guidance on protecting veterans' rights. Participants learned how to navigate complex benefit systems, protect themselves from family manipulation, and establish legal independence. The technology training became a game changer. Veterans learned digital skills that transformed their professional opportunities. Adaptive technologies became tools of empowerment, turning physical limitations into strategic advantages. Sophia and Ethan, Katherine's grandchildren, became unexpected allies. Inspired by their grandmother's transformation, they began volunteering at the center. Sophia developed digital marketing strategies for the program, while Ethan helped with technology training for older veterans. The program's impact extended far beyond individual success stories. Local businesses began partnering with Veteran Velocity, creating job opportunities specifically designed for veterans with unique challenges. Government agencies started looking at the program as a model for comprehensive veteran support. Katherine's personal story became a powerful motivational tool. She would speak at workshops, sharing her journey from family marginalization to personal empowerment. Her presentations were part strategic advice, part inspirational narrative, a blueprint for personal transformation. The community network expanded rapidly. What had started as a local support group became a nationwide movement. Veterans from across the country began connecting, sharing resources, supporting each other's journeys of personal reconstruction. Financial empowerment became a critical focus. The program developed specialized training in entrepreneurship, digital skills, and financial management. Veterans learned to see their experiences as unique professional advantages, transforming challenges into opportunities. Emma and Michael's attempts to maintain control became increasingly irrelevant. Katherine had created a support network that was far more powerful than any family manipulation. Her definition of family had expanded to include a community of resilient, supportive individuals. The medical support network became particularly comprehensive: specialized care programs, mental health support, adaptive technology training. The program addressed veterans' challenges holistically. No longer were veterans seen as problems to be managed, but as valuable individuals with unique strengths. Legal workshops provided veterans with comprehensive protection strategies. Participants learned how to protect their rights, navigate complex benefit systems, and establish personal independence. The program became a powerful tool of legal and personal empowerment. As the program grew, Katherine understood that her personal transformation had become something much larger. It was no longer just about her individual journey, but about creating a movement of veteran empowerment. The community center became a symbol of hope. Where once veterans had felt marginalized and forgotten, they now found a place of strategic support, personal growth, and collective empowerment. Katherine looked out over the room filled with veterans, each with their own story of challenge and resilience, and understood that her most important mission was not one she had been assigned, but one she had chosen. A mission of collective liberation, of transforming individual struggles into a powerful, united movement of hope and renewal. The National Veterans Empowerment Conference became the ultimate testament to Katherine Rodriguez's transformation. Standing on the main stage in Atlanta, she was no longer the marginalized woman her family had once dismissed, but a nationally recognized leader of veteran support and personal reinvention. Her keynote address brought the massive auditorium to complete silence. Thousands of veterans from across the country listened as Katherine dismantled the traditional narrative of veteran vulnerability, replacing it with a powerful story of resilience and strategic self-reconstruction. "We are not defined by our limitations," she proclaimed, her voice resonating with the same command she once used in military briefings. "We are defined by our ability to transform challenges into opportunities." The journey had been far from linear. Her arthritis, once viewed as a debilitating condition, had become a strategic advantage. She had developed adaptive technologies that not only supported her own work, but created entire new industries for disabled veterans. Veteran Velocity had grown from a small consulting platform to a comprehensive national support network. Government. Agencies now consulted the organization for innovative veteran support strategies. Major tech companies sought partnerships to develop adaptive technologies inspired by Katherine's work. Her relationship with her family had undergone a complete metamorphosis. Sophia and Ethan, once distant grandchildren, had become her strongest allies. Sophia now worked as the chief marketing strategist for Veteran Velocity, while Ethan managed the organization's technology development. Emma and Michael had been forced to confront the consequences of their previous manipulation. The legal documentation Katherine had meticulously collected prevented any future attempts at financial control. Their attempts to reconnect were met with calm, strategic boundaries. The medical breakthrough came unexpectedly. Katherine's holistic approach to managing her arthritis had caught the attention of leading medical researchers. Her combination of adaptive technologies, alternative treatments, and strategic health management became a case study in chronic condition management. Her consulting platform had expanded into multiple verticals. Beyond veteran support, Katherine had developed comprehensive programs for individuals facing personal and professional reinvention. Corporate leadership programs now sought her insights on resilience and strategic transformation. The technological innovations developed through Veteran Velocity revolutionized support for disabled professionals. Voice-activated systems, adaptive workplace technologies, comprehensive digital support networks. Each innovation was a direct result of Katherine's personal journey. Sarah Martinez and Rose Hernandez had become more than allies. They were co-architects of a movement. Together, they had transformed a personal story of survival into a national platform of empowerment. Katherine's speaking engagements took her across the country. Universities, corporate conferences, veteran support organizations. Each platform became an opportunity to challenge existing narratives about aging, disability, and personal potential. The financial independence she had fought for became a blueprint for other veterans. Her investment strategies, developed through years of careful planning, now formed the basis of financial workshops that helped veterans secure their economic futures. Her personal story became a powerful motivational tool. Publishers approached her about a book deal. Documentary filmmakers expressed interest in her journey. Katherine saw these not as personal accolades, but as additional platforms for spreading her message of empowerment. The adaptive technology developed through Veteran Velocity began receiving national recognition. Major tech companies started incorporating insights from her work into mainstream product development. What had begun as a personal survival strategy became an industry-changing approach. Her relationship with the medical community transformed. Researchers now sought her insights on chronic condition management, patient empowerment, and holistic health strategies. Katherine had become a bridge between traditional medical approaches and innovative patient-centered care. The Veterans Support Network had grown into a powerful social movement. What had started in a small community center now connected veterans nationwide, providing comprehensive support that went far beyond traditional veteran services. Katherine's approach to personal transformation had become a comprehensive methodology. She developed training programs that helped individuals navigate major life changes, turning personal challenges into strategic opportunities for growth. The financial independence she had fought for became a model for veteran economic empowerment. Her investment strategies, developed through years of careful planning, now formed the basis of financial workshops that helped veterans secure their economic futures. Her children, Michael and Emma, had been forced to recognize her true value. Their attempts to control and marginalize her had backfired spectacularly. Katherine had not just survived, she had created an entire ecosystem of support and empowerment. The National Veterans Empowerment Conference became more than just an event. It was a celebration of resilience, a testament to the power of strategic personal transformation. Katherine Rodriguez stood at its center, no longer the marginalized figure her family had once dismissed, but a national leader of veteran support and personal reinvention. As she looked out over the auditorium filled with veterans from every background, Katherine understood that her most important mission was not one assigned by others, but one she had chosen and designed for herself. A mission of collective liberation, of transforming individual struggles into a powerful, united movement of hope and renewal. The transformation was complete. The veteran who had been reduced to a footnote in her family's story had become the author of an extraordinary national narrative of empowerment. The small conference room overlooked the Atlanta skyline, bathed in the soft light of early morning. Katherine Rodriguez sat surrounded by a group of veterans, her latest mentorship circle, a gathering that had become a sacred space of transformation and shared wisdom. Transformation is not about erasing your past, she began, her voice carrying the quiet authority of someone who had fought battles both on and off the battlefield. It's about understanding that your experiences are not chains, but the very foundation of your strength. Each participant carried a story of challenge, veterans who had been marginalized, overlooked, written off by families and society. But here, in this room, those stories became blueprints of possibility. Katherine had created more than a support group. She had established a laboratory of human resilience. Her own journey became a roadmap for others. The arthritis that had once threatened to define her limitations had become a strategic advantage. She spoke candidly about the physical and emotional challenges, transforming personal vulnerability into a powerful narrative of strategic adaptation. Mark Thompson, her legal advisor, had become a regular guest in these sessions. He would discuss the legal frameworks that protected veterans' rights, turning complex legal language into accessible strategies of personal empowerment. Participants learned not just to survive, but to strategically navigate systems designed to marginalize them. The technological innovations developed through Veteran Velocity had become a critical component of these sessions. Adaptive technologies were no longer seen as assistive devices, but as tools of strategic personal reconstruction. Participants learned to view their challenges as unique advantages, transforming perceived limitations into distinctive strengths. Sarah Martinez would often share her own story of transformation, highlighting the importance of community. "We are not meant to fight our battles alone," she would say, her voice a mixture of military precision and compassionate understanding. The group had become more than a support network. It was a strategic alliance of personal liberation. Katherine's approach went beyond traditional support group methodologies. Each session was meticulously structured, combining personal narrative sharing, strategic skill development, and collective problem-solving. Participants learned financial management, digital skills, legal protection strategies, and most importantly, how to reframe their personal narratives. The wisdom shared was multidimensional. Financial experts would discuss investment strategies specifically designed for veterans. Mental health professionals provided holistic support frameworks. Technology trainers showed participants how to leverage digital platforms for personal and professional growth. Sophia and Ethan, Katherine's grandchildren, had become integral to these sessions. Sophia would lead digital marketing workshops, showing veterans how to build personal brands and professional networks. Ethan focused on technological empowerment, demonstrating how adaptive technologies could transform professional possibilities. The reflections went deeper than personal stories. Participants began to understand that their individual journeys were part of a larger narrative of veteran empowerment. Each story became a thread in a larger tapestry of resilience, challenging societal narratives about aging, disability, and personal potential. Rose Hernandez developed comprehensive curriculum modules that transformed these sessions into strategic life reconstruction workshops. Participants learned not just to survive their challenges, but to use them as catalysts for extraordinary personal growth. The legal workshops became particularly powerful. Participants learned how to protect their rights, navigate complex benefit systems, and establish personal and financial independence. The group became a powerful collective of strategic personal advocacy. Katherine's reflections often centered on the concept of intentional living. "Every decision is a strategic choice," she would say. "Your past does not determine your future. Your intentionality does." Participants learned to view their lives as ongoing strategic missions of personal development. The medical support component went far beyond traditional healthcare approaches. Holistic health strategies, alternative treatment explorations, comprehensive wellness frameworks. Participants learned to view their bodies and health as dynamic, adaptable systems. Emma and Michael's previous attempts at control became case studies in toxic family dynamics. Katherine used her personal experience to teach participants how to establish healthy boundaries, recognize manipulation, and prioritize personal well-being. The technological innovations continued to evolve. What had started as adaptive technologies for veterans began transforming entire industries' approaches to accessibility and personal empowerment. Major tech companies now sought insights from Veteran Velocity's research. Financial empowerment became a critical focus. Specialized investment strategies, entrepreneurship training, digital skill development, Participants learned to see their veteran status as a unique professional advantage. The wisdom shared transcended traditional support group methodologies. These were not sessions of passive commiseration, but active strategic planning sessions for personal reconstruction. As the morning light continued to fill the room, Katherine understood that her most important role was not as a leader, but as a catalyst. Each participant was writing their own story of transformation, using the strategies and insights shared in this collective space. "Your life is not a problem to be solved," she would often say, "but a mission to be strategically designed." The reflections became more than personal narratives. They were blueprints of possibility, testaments to human resilience, and powerful declarations of personal agency. In this room, veterans were not defined by their challenges, but by their extraordinary capacity for strategic reinvention. The new equilibrium of Katherine Rodriguez's life was nothing short of revolutionary. Her apartment overlooking downtown Atlanta was more than a living space. It was a command center of personal transformation, a testament to the extraordinary journey of a woman who had reclaimed her life on her own terms. Veteran Velocity had become more than an organization. It was a national movement of veteran empowerment, a comprehensive ecosystem that challenged every existing narrative about aging, disability, and personal potential. From its humble beginnings in a small community center, the organization now influenced national policies, corporate strategies, and veteran support frameworks. Her relationship with her family had stabilized into a new, strategically balanced dynamic. Sophia and Ethan were no longer just grandchildren, but strategic partners in her mission. Sophia managed the marketing operations of Veteran Velocity, while Ethan led technological innovation. Michael and Emma had been forced to recognize her value, their previous attempts at control rendered obsolete by Katherine's remarkable transformation. The medical breakthrough surrounding her arthritis management had become a case study in holistic health approaches. Research institutions now studied her comprehensive strategy of adaptive technologies, alternative treatments, and strategic health management. What had once been viewed as a debilitating condition had become a platform for innovative medical research. Katherine's daily routine was a carefully choreographed symphony of personal and professional activities. Morning meditation gave way to strategic planning sessions for Veteran Velocity. Online workshops, consulting calls, mentorship meetings, each moment was intentionally designed to maximize impact and personal fulfillment. The adaptive technologies that had once been her survival tools had now become industry-changing innovations. Tech companies sought partnerships with Veteran Velocity, recognizing the organization's unique approach to technological empowerment. Adaptive devices were no longer seen as assistive technologies, but as strategic tools of personal and professional enhancement. Her financial independence had become a comprehensive strategy of economic empowerment. Investment portfolios, multiple, income streams, strategic consulting. Katherine had transformed her economic landscape completely. The financial workshops she developed became blueprints for veterans seeking economic reconstruction. The mentorship programs she had developed continued to transform lives. Veterans from across the country found support, strategic guidance, and comprehensive resources through Veteran Velocity. What had started as a personal survival strategy had become a national movement of veteran empowerment. Sarah Martinez and Rose Hernandez remained her closest allies, co-architects of a vision that went far beyond traditional veteran support. Together, they continued to push the boundaries of what was possible for veterans facing personal and professional challenges. The speaking engagements, book deals, and documentary opportunities continued to expand her platform. But Katherine viewed these not as personal achievements, but as additional channels for spreading a message of strategic personal transformation. Her relationship with the medical community had evolved into a collaborative partnership. Researchers sought her insights on chronic condition management, patient empowerment, and holistic health strategies. Katherine had become a bridge between traditional medical approaches and innovative, patient-centered care. The legal protections she had fought for became a comprehensive framework for veteran rights. The documentation she had meticulously collected had not just protected her, but had created new pathways for veterans to assert their independence and value. Family gatherings had transformed into strategic interactions. Michael and Emma now approached her with a mix of respect and careful consideration. The power dynamics had completely shifted, with Katherine clearly in control of her narrative and her life. Her grandchildren, Sophia and Ethan, had become powerful allies in her mission. They saw their grandmother not as a victim or a burden, but as a revolutionary leader who had transformed personal challenge into collective empowerment. The arthritis that had once threatened to define her limitations now seemed like a distant memory. Through comprehensive management strategies, adaptive technologies, and an unwavering spirit, Katherine had transformed her physical challenge into a platform of innovation and inspiration. As she looked out over the Atlanta skyline from her apartment, Katherine understood that her journey was about more than personal transformation. It was about creating a blueprint for resilience, a strategic approach to life that could inspire generations. The new equilibrium was not about finding peace or acceptance, but about continuously evolving, strategically designing one's life with intention and purpose. Call to action. If you've been inspired by Katherine's extraordinary journey, there's more to explore. Subscribe to our channel for more stories of resilience, transformation, and human potential. Hit that subscribe button and the notification bell to join our community of dreamers, fighters, and survivors. Follow Veteran Velocity on social media, Instagram, A Veteran Velocity YouTube, Veteran Velocity. Channel website, www.veteranvelocity.org. Your story of transformation starts now. Are you ready to rewrite your narrative? Don't miss our next inspiring story. Subscribe now.